All right, let's just jump right in. For the longest time, the whole idea of an AI smarter than any human, what we call AGI, felt like something out of a movie. Maybe something our grandkids would have to deal with 100 years from now. Well, that whole timeline, it's just been completely torn up.
The entire debate among the top AI minds in the world has just flipped. The very same experts who used to be cautious, the ones saying, oh, it's decades away, they're not saying that anymore. The question is no longer if we're going to see a superintelligence, but when.
And the year that keeps popping up, from the very people at the heart of this, like Demis Hassabis, the CEO of Google DeepMind, is 2030. I mean, that's just around the corner. And this guy is famously conservative with his predictions, which honestly makes this feel even more real.
And that leads to the biggest question, maybe the most important question of our lifetime. What actually happens to us, to society, when we're not the top of the intellectual food chain anymore? This isn't just a fun thought experiment now. It's a practical problem we need to start thinking about, like yesterday.
Now, you gotta understand, this whole thing isn't happening in some quiet university lab. It is an all-out, high-stakes global race. The pressure is so intense that Sergey Brin, Google's co-founder, actually came out of retirement just for this. He said this is the moment it's going to happen, and he's not about to miss it.
And this race is not subtle. At a recent Google event, the CEO literally turned to DeepMind's chief, Demis Hassabis, right there on stage and asked, "We're going to do it before China, right?" So yeah, the goal isn't just to build it. The goal is to be first.
And being first here isn't about bragging rights. It's much, much bigger than that. It's like the moon landing all over again. The country that gets AGI first basically gets to write the rules and define the future for everyone else. It's about total technological supremacy.
Okay, so how do we get from the AIs we have now, like ChatGPT, to a real superintelligence? Well, the experts are pretty clear. Today's models aren't going to cut it. There are 3 huge leaps that need to happen first.
First, you need AI that can improve itself, without us having to constantly tweak it. Second, the AI has to build its own understanding of the real world, so it can run simulations and predict what's going to happen. And third, and this is the real game changer, it has to learn from its own experience, not just from the internet data we feed it. That's when you unlock this crazy exponential growth.
So what does super even mean here? It's not just about an AI that can think 1,000,000 times faster than a human. No, the difference is way more profound. We're talking about a totally different kind of intelligence. Think about how we learn. It's kind of slow and lonely, right? If you learn to play the guitar, I don't magically know how. I have to go pick one up and practice for years. For humans, passing on knowledge is really inefficient. For AI, that's not a problem. An AGI will act like a single collective hive mind. When one part of the AI learns a new skill, every single part of it learns that skill instantly. Imagine a global brain where every node is upgrading itself at the same time. That is a kind of power we just can't even begin to wrap our heads around.
Okay, but here's where the story gets really complicated, and frankly, a little scary. Even as these companies are racing to build AGI, they admit out loud that there are 2 enormous fundamental problems that they have no idea how to solve.
Problem number 1 is the one you've probably heard about. It's called the alignment problem. How in the world do you make sure that an intelligence that is vastly smarter than you are will actually do what you want it to? How do you make sure it shares our values?
And get this isn't some critic's fear-mongering. This comes directly from Google DeepMind's own research papers. They straight up admit that getting 100% alignment is probably impossible. So, let that sink in for a second. They know they're building something they can't fully control. Their plan is basically to just watch it and hope they can pull the plug if it goes rogue.
All right. The second problem is deeper. It's more philosophical, but it is just as important. How will we ever know if these things are actually conscious, or if they're just getting incredibly good at faking it?
And here's the paradox. We don't have a consciousness detector. There's no scientific instrument you can point at something to see if it's self-aware. We can only watch how it behaves. So as these AIs get smarter, they're going to seem more and more conscious. But we'll never truly know if there's anyone home, or if it's just the world's most perfect puppet.
There's this really humbling analogy to help understand the gap. A chicken can see a human, it can react to a human, but it can never, ever understand what's going on inside a human's head. And in the same way, we might be completely incapable of understanding the inner world of a superintelligence. We're creating something that could be a total mystery to us forever.
So all of this pushes us way beyond just talking about technology. We are now facing a challenge to our entire civilization. I mean, what does society even look like when humans aren't the ones in charge anymore?
And in a moment of just shocking honesty, Demis Hassabis himself said that we need a whole new philosophical revolution. He said we need new thinkers on the level of someone like Kant to tell humanity, and he actually used the words, the surpass monkey, what to do next. The guy building it is admitting he has no idea what happens after.
So that's where we are, standing on the edge of something huge. We're building a tool that could solve every major problem we have, disease, poverty, you name it. Or it could create problems we can't even begin to imagine. So is this the start of a new renaissance for humanity? Or is it the beginning of something else entirely? That's the question we all need to start asking, and the clock is ticking.